When you picture a volcano, you probably think of a huge, fiery mountain on land, right? Well, that's barely scratching the surface. Today, we're going to dive deep, literally, into a hidden world beneath the oceans to find the largest, most powerful, and frankly, the weirdest volcanoes on our entire planet.
And this quote just says it all. The surface of Earth tells only a fraction of the planet's volcanic story. It's such a perfect way to frame this because it reminds us that the most incredible geological action on Earth is happening completely out of sight, buried under miles of water.
I mean, it makes sense when you think about it. Over 70% of our planet is covered by oceans. That is a massive, mostly unexplored territory, and it's filled with wonders that make the stuff on land look kind of small. This hidden world is where the real story is.
All right, first up, Earth's hidden volcanoes. We're going to start by revealing the true giants hiding right under the waves. Then we'll get into the titans of the deep, and you'll see just how mind-bogglingly huge these things can get.
So let's kick things off with Tamu Massif. And when I say big, I mean, try to wrap your head around this, a single volcano that covers 553,000 square kilometers. That's about the size of California. Its discovery completely changed the game for scientists. It showed that these enormous surges of magma can build structures way bigger than anyone ever thought possible. It's this ancient sleeping giant that proves the deep ocean just operates on a totally different scale.
Okay, now here's a name you've probably heard, Mauna Kea in Hawaii. What we see sticking out of the water is just the very, very tip of it. Most of this absolute monster of a mountain is underwater. And when you measure it from its real base on the ocean floor, well, the scale is just staggering. So yeah, we always talk about Mount Everest being the highest peak, but Mauna Kea is, by a long shot, the tallest mountain on Earth. It's so unbelievably massive that its weight literally pushes down the seafloor underneath it. This one comparison just completely flips our whole perspective on what the biggest landmarks on our planet really are.
All right, so we've covered the ancient giants, but it's not all history. A lot of these underwater volcanoes are active right now, and with that kind of power comes some pretty unique dangers. Let's talk about the active and hazardous ones.
A great example is Axial Seamount, just off the coast of the Pacific Northwest. This is one of the most closely watched underwater volcanoes in the world. Because of all the scientific gear down there, we've actually been able to predict and then record its eruptions as they happen. It's given us this amazing, unprecedented look into how these deep-sea giants actually work, how they breathe, inflate, and then just let loose.
And that real-time monitoring is so crucial, because these things pose some really weird threats. Which brings us to a pretty dramatic question. Can an underwater volcano actually sink a ship? Believe it or not, the answer is yes. And it brings us to a Caribbean volcano with the ominous name Kikumjeni.
So Kikumjeni is famous for these really violent, gassy eruptions. What happens is it releases so much gas so quickly that the density of the water right above it just plummets. If a ship happens to be passing over at that exact moment, it suddenly loses buoyancy. It's like the water isn't there to hold it up anymore, and it could literally sink. It's a pretty scary reminder that even the smallest submarine volcanoes can be incredibly dangerous.
Okay, moving on. Beyond just being huge and dangerous, some of these volcanoes create these truly alien landscapes. They're pushing the frontiers of what we know about geology, chemistry, and even biology. Let's dive into these weird underwater worlds.
Scientists used to think that massive, explosive eruptions were impossible deep underwater. The pressure was just too great. Well, the 2012 Havre eruption blew that theory right out of the water. It was so powerful it created a floating raft of pumice, that's volcanic rock, that was bigger than the entire country of Belgium. It proved, without a doubt, that the deep ocean can host eruptions just as violent as anything we see on land.
And then there's Brothers Volcano near New Zealand. This place is like another planet. You've got hydrothermal vents blasting water hotter than 400 degrees Celsius, creating these huge towers called black smokers. And get this, they're spewing out a treasure trove of metals like gold and copper. The chemistry here is so unique, scientists think it's one of the best places on Earth to study how life might get started on other worlds.
And if you want to talk about pure chaos, there's Mauna Kea. This is one of the most hyperactive volcanoes on the planet. Its summit can shoot up or collapse by tens of meters in just a few weeks. It's constantly building itself up and tearing itself down, which just goes to show you how fast and how dramatically the seafloor can change.
So, we've seen the incredible scale, the power, the sheer weirdness of it all.
What does it all tell us? Well, it reveals why the deep ocean really holds the key to understanding our own planet, why it's the planet's true heart.
It really all boils down to this single idea. We're all captivated by the volcanoes we can see, but they're kind of a sideshow. The real engine of our planet, the true heart of Earth's volcanic machine that drives its geology, its chemistry, and maybe even its biology, all of that lies hidden under miles of water. Which leaves us with one final, kind of mind-blowing thought. We have mapped more of the surface of Mars than we have of our own ocean floor. So as we keep exploring this hidden world, the most exciting question has to be, what other giants, what other weird worlds are still down there, just waiting to be discovered?